Thank you for this invitation. I apologize for my attire. I just came from working the ER and I didn't know I was going to be here this morning when I left my house, but appreciate the opportunity. My involvement in this public health issue that has actually cropped up across the country and not just in the Midwest, although it appears that we have the most cases in Missouri, and a good number of them from my records have come from St. Charles County, in addition to other counties, Greene County, Springfield area, and others. Was I was consulted by some emergency physicians through my specialist nurses in the Poison Center regarding patients coming into emergency departments, like my own, ranging in ages from 14 to 21. The oldest individuals that I've been consulting on are 30, 35. I think we had one 39-year-old, but the majority have been youth between the ages of 14 and 21. And what appears to happen is they come in, they've smoked K2 and expected to experience a mellow high, probably advertised to them by peers as being a marijuana substitute. And what we're seeing are these individuals are coming into the emergency room very agitated and very anxious, just the opposite of what we'd expect. Their heart rates are drastically elevated. In all the cases that I've been involved with, except for maybe one or two that were just mildly elevated in the 100 range, 110, but a lot of them have been in the 140 range. I biked 6 miles yesterday, and I'm a pretty big man. I probably got my heart rate up to 130, 140 at one point. But during exercise, your blood pressure usually drops. I mean, it's lowered, not drops, to the low point, but what we're seeing is just the opposite. We're seeing a rise in blood pressure. The highest I've seen is in the range of 160 over 110. Just to put it in perspective for everyone, normal blood pressure is 110 to 120 over 70 to 80. So these are dangerously high blood pressures. Coupled with the anxiety and the agitation, some tremors, a few patients with actual seizure-like activity, and coupled with hallucinations. And let me remark that this is not known to be a standard hallucinogen, like LSD, for example. There are many compounds that give people hallucinations, notwithstanding something as simple as Benadryl, which is over-the-counter that kids abuse. And that's not an hallucinogen, but it can give you hallucinations. I say that only because I'm a little sensitized by people misquoting me, and I'm really getting kind of frustrated about that. But it has caused hallucinations. Hallucinations so severe that a 15-year-old boy was about ready to jump off of a 5th story until his friend stopped him. Not that he knew it was a 5th story, but he probably thought it was a pool or whatever else he was seeing. These are disturbing hallucinations concerning to me as a physician. So I tried to analyze these cases. I'm actually collaborating. I contacted some colleagues across the country to see what they were experiencing, because I'm not one to contact the CDC in Atlanta, Georgia, if somebody's having some minor symptoms. It's a pretty major thing to do that. I'm on a secure website with the CDC to communicate public health issues to them and to receive information about public health concerns. So I contacted them in the first week in February. And since then, I've been contacted by the director of the Georgia Poison Center, a physician at the Virginia Poison Center, a physician at the New Jersey Poison Center, a physician from the New York Poison Center, and a number of other centers around the country, including University of Massachusetts and Massachusetts Rhode Island Poison Center. I'm actually collaborating with 2 people from the University of Massachusetts and Harvard to do analysis of patients' urine to see what's actually in here. Because let me tell you, the one thing that's really disturbing me is although I know what should be in these compounds, I am endeavoring to try to find out what is in them. I talked to a DEA agent on Friday who had heard that I was interested in this through the CDC. He told me he was in a store in the St. Louis area. Now that could have been here in St. Charles, it could have been in some other county, I don't know. He didn't reveal that to me, but he said the store owner said that they were making $7 grand a day, $7,000 additionally a day selling these K2 products. So it's very lucrative. He said there's 2 main things that he saw. K2 that looks like it's in packages like this, and I don't know, is this working on projection?
It will.
We have to switch to something else here?
There you go.
It's up there.
Okay. Packages that look like this that say K2 with its various brand names, K2 Summit, K2 Gold, K2 Blonde. You know, I'm still not sure where I figured this has come from. You know, K2, if anybody's a mountaineer, is the second highest mountain in the world next to Mount Everest. It's in the Himalayas. And of course, the word summit kind of makes you think about that. Some of these originate in Kansas. That may be part of the K designation. We're not sure. Spice, which is a compound, a package onto the right of that over here, is sometimes what this is referred to, but sometimes spice is a little bit more finely ground, whereas you can see some of the contents of the K2 package on the left. This is part of a public health alert that I put out through the Poison Center. Yeah, thank you very much. So there's many, many, you know, actually, this is interesting. My wife said, well, why don't you just go into one of the stores and buy some? I said, yeah, the director of the Poison Center, who's been talking about this nationally, should go into one of these stores and buy it. That would be good. I could see where Maury Povich would catch me on camera or something. But anyway, these are the symptoms that I mentioned to you that are shown here on this bottom of this document. And in the UK, this has been banned. In the state of Kansas, by the way, it's been banned. That's the only state that I know of. It was originally in Germany in the 1970s that somebody tried to make synthetic marijuana. And it is in 1995, 20 years later, that a professor that I had the opportunity to meet because I was in South Carolina at a medical meeting, and I thought, you know, I think some of the articles that I'm familiar with were written by a Dr. John Huffman. So I looked up his email address at Clemson University. I emailed him with my contact information and my interest. He actually met with me for about an hour and a half, and these were his words. I did not develop this compound JWH 018 for the abuse purpose that it's being used as a synthetic cannabinoid. When I say cannabinoid, that means a oid or like substance to cannabis, meaning like marijuana. The compound that he developed, JWH 018, I can show you. It doesn't matter. I'm not giving you a chemistry lesson. You will actually get continuing education credits when I'm done for having gone through this. And this compound is very interesting. Actually, my students and residents say I can make anyone of any field understand something, and I hope that happens tonight. I'm not really, I haven't been preparing this talk. But our human brains have a compound, serotonin, right here on the top right. The basic structure is what's called a tryptamine. The JWH compound looks like the tryptamine. As you can see, this little structure right here is identical to that one right there. And this is marijuana. It really doesn't look exactly alike, but it functions at the same place in the brain. Our bodies actually have, this is probably blow people's minds, we have cannabinoid receptors or marijuana-like receptors in our brain. Not because marijuana would be introduced into our social structure, but because it is a site for binding of a natural chemical in the brain that controls behavior, appetite. My wife says you have too much of that natural chemical, dear.